Coach, after Chase Lucas's interception, he went down and started doing curls with a curl bar.
Yeah, I saw that.
Is that a new thing?
I don't know. That was I was like, what is this? I didn't even bring that on the plane. I didn't get that one. I know Miami has the chain deal and some other teams do some other things. That was a new one. I don't know. I just looked and went, what are we doing? I didn't know what to think. I was too busy, after the interception, I'm on the phone talking to the offensive guy, and I'm going, excuse me, I'm watching Chase do curls. And I said, but let's talk about the series now because we're trying to score a touchdown. Literally, I saw it, and I went, and I told Likens, I said, Coach, 1 second, this Case is doing curls. And he said, what? And I said, oh, don't worry about it. And I got back to him because it was like, so I don't know. I got to ask the weight coach about that one. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm going to see him after I get out of here about that.
Pac-12 Panic Room plus BYU plus USU plus Weber, JP Chunga, Mitch Harper here inside the ESPN 700 Panic Room as we get ready for the weekend. But first question for you, Mitch. ASU abolishes turnover curls after they debut it last week.
Yeah, that's such a Herm thing to get their name into the headlines in this show because they're 2-2 right now. They're on a little bit of a 2-game skid. And Herm brings up something for us to actually talk about his team, even though they're really a team that's off the radar for this week at least.
And they're playing pretty boring as of late. I watched that Washington game, and they played like an NFL team. I wanted to see Manny Wilkins sling it to N'Keal Harry. His first target was in the second quarter. Not enough for me.
They kind of thought that they could do the same thing they did last year when Todd Graham was the coach. What was that, 13-7 against Washington? Just wasn't going to work, and Washington by no means has looked perfect. They don't look like they're unbeatable, but that defense really is good for Washington. But, yeah, you got to let Manny Wilkins and N'Keal Harry, just let those guys loose. Let them do what they want because that's I want to see, I love the Herm Edwards hire because it just seems so crazy, and I think it's feeling more normal now. Which is what I don't want.
Crazy.
I don't want a normal college football program. I want something zany, something nuts. That's what I need on the field with Herm Edwards, and I think that's what honestly will give them the exposure that they're seeking in getting this hire. But it just feels now like just a boring college football team that I want something interesting, and that wasn't interesting last week against Washington.
And give me more of that turnover curl. Let's
Yes.
head straight into a big game. Not a big game. It's a big game. Bunch of big games in the Pac-12 Panic Room this week. Starting off, let's go with BYU against Washington. I see two teams kind of as the Spider-Man meme in terms of offense.
Yeah, that's a great point there, JP. That Spider-Man meme just pointing at the camera, looking right at each other. But I think with Washington, I just think their speed overall. I think with Wisconsin, I think BYU physically and for the most part speed-wise matched up well, and that showed itself as BYU won that game. With Washington, though, that's a different animal. And we had Yogi Roth on our sister station, ESPN 960, yesterday, and he said that Washington has layers upon layers of NFL talent. I have to agree. I mean, I think they have anywhere from maybe 10, 13 guys in their top 22 that could be on NFL rosters here within the next couple of years. So very talented. BYU, this is their toughest test yet going to Washington. I think, again, even tougher than Wisconsin because of the matchup. So this is going to be a really huge game. I mean, BYU wins this, JP. We're talking about BYU as a top 15 team. No. And maybe in the New Year's Six conversation, I mean, because I know there's no one at the table for BYU to voice for them, but maybe 11-1, maybe, with wins over Wisconsin and Washington. BYU could be really setting up some headlines for them to be in the national picture the rest of the year if they win this one.
Especially with that defensive line from BYU. Could get Jake Browning turning around, scrambling in the pocket out there. That would be bad for UW. A line is 17. Way too big.
I think that's way too big. I feel pretty confident, JP, that BYU will cover. Do I feel confident they'll win? I'm not there yet, but Washington, again, has been vulnerable at times. And if BYU can get to that 24-point mark, which kind of feels like the sweet spot for BYU, I think that BYU could maybe pull the upset, but I'm not too confident yet just because of that speed from Washington.
The other big game, at least involving the state, Utah-Wazoo. Big fortunes for these two teams in their Pac-12 fates. Utah, obviously, starting off that bye week, not great against the loss against Washington. I have no confidence in this offense right now, and you need to have an offense heading up to the Palouse.
The one good thing for Utah is that 2 of the 3 games passing games in the Pac-12 era were for 300 yards. Excuse me, that kind of got completely botched how I was saying that. 2 300-yard games came against Washington State. So there has been a track record of actually getting some 300-yard, good passing performance days against Washington State, but I don't think that's going to happen with Tyler Huntley in this game. And, man, Gardner Minshew, he was fantastic against USC. That whole game, that was such a great game, and in Washington State I learned a lot about them from that game against USC, more than any other game where they won to this point of the season. They're a great offense once again. Any questions that we had going into the season about Washington State, those are gone. Those are long gone because Minshew has been fantastic once again. I think for Utah and Washington State, though, if they have any hopes of contending for a division title and be in the Pac-12 race, they got to win Saturday. It is a huge game. It might be the biggest game because it's kind of a make or break for Utah, especially because of all the hype they had.
In terms of the pressure going into the season and all the expectations, certainly a huge game. How about this stat for the bettors? Washington State, perfect against the spread.
Ooh,
So
that's a good stat.
If you want to win money, maybe take a look at Mike Leach's club.
I'm going to be laying down some heat in Wendover now on that thing. I'm going out there.
Looking at the other big Pac-12 games, Stanford, Notre Dame, I look at this game as one where I think Notre Dame can really get through. I say that as an unabashed Notre Dame homer, somebody who loves the Irish. But I look at the turnover margin. Notre Dame has been fantastic in the turnover margin so far, and they've done it in spite of Brandon Wimbush being the quarterback who's thrown 4 interceptions for that club. And
Yeah.
now that they've switched, things will get better.
Notre Dame has been in close calls throughout the season against some of the strangest opponents, too. Ball State, Vanderbilt. Maybe they're good teams, but still, it's just weird to think Notre Dame's going to take into the horn with Ball State and Vandy. But, you know, Notre Dame is not going to be anything flashy. They kind of, in a way, are like BYU so far, where they're kind of built to just not make mistakes, not beat themselves, and then hopefully win the game at the end. But I think with Stanford and Notre Dame, I think this is a really good game. And I think Stanford, too, it's critical. It's another one of those games that we look at for the conference as far as being a flag bearer to possibly be in the playoff contention, because Washington, I still think, is on a fine line with that. I don't think the perception has been improved so far this season for the conference. So Stanford, after that huge win against Oregon, this is another great opportunity for the conference to get that win. But I think Stanford comes away with this win. I think KJ Costello has done a fantastic job. I was down on him going into the season, JP, but I'll apologize now. I think that Stanford, they've been playing great, and that win against Oregon, coming back the way they did, I just trust David Shaw and KJ Costello here and Bryce Love. I think that Stanford pulls off the upset. I think Notre Dame's been towing the edge a little bit too much. I think it's going to cost them.
And Brian Kelly won't announce Ian Book as the starting quarterback, which is maddening for me. But still, keeping up, huge matchup in the North, Oregon-Cal. Ranked teams, and I want to see if Cal can really rise to that occasion against a team that we saw last week really perform.
Best team Cal's played so far this season. I know they played BYU, but offensively BYU's nothing much to write home about. Oregon going to be a great game, and this one being in Berkeley, I think that kind of helps Cal in this one. This is Oregon's first road game, so let's see what Mario Cristobal's team looks like away from Autzen. Give me Cal. I think that Cal comes away and pulls off the upset here, and I like this Oregon team a lot, but I think for Cal, this is a real big opportunity for them, and Justin Wilcox, as he continues to build that identity in year 2, I think this would be the game that shows they are for real, because, again, so far they're ranked, yes, but no one's really turning heads about who they've played thus far, so I think they pull off the upset at home.
Yeah, I want to see if Garbers can show something against an Oregon front that really dominated Stanford for many parts of that game. Looking at the South, UCLA-Colorado is the first game where you have a 3-0 team against an 0-3 squad, and I think Colorado can really take advantage of Chip Kelly's.
Yeah, Colorado's the best team in the Pac-12 South right now, and I think they continue that. UCLA, I know your guy, Kyle Gunther, I thought he made a good point in crosstalk today. Could UCLA go winless this year?
Could.
I mean, could that happen? I think it'd be the first winless Pac-10, Pac-12 team since, 08 Washington. That could be in danger this year with UCLA. Now that they went winless in non-conference, you would have thought you'd get a win over a Fresno or a Cincinnati. But now with conference play, where's a win for UCLA?
Arizona could be a potential win for UCLA if you're looking at the South. And looking at Arizona, they take on USC. They need to continue what they did last week, beating the North opponent, but you got to take care of the South.
USC games are always intriguing because it still feels like
He's coaching for his job every
Clay
week.
Helton is literally coaching for his job every week. I think that's a great point. And Arizona, you expected them to play better last week, and they did a great job. J.J. Taylor had a huge rushing day last week against Oregon State. Arizona seems to always kind of have success, particularly at home against USC. I think it's a toss-up game. I really do, JP. And I think that Khalil Tate, gets the quarterback edge still against JT Daniels. I think Arizona gets the upset in this one.
And the Wildcats get P.J. Johnson back in the defensive line. He got injured against BYU, had missed a couple games. He's going to be an addition to that defense. Pac-12 Panic Room plus BYU plus USU plus Weber. Mitch, I'm JP. Let us know who you've got your eye on this weekend in the comments below. Like and subscribe, and until next time, bye for now.